Hello everybody, it's Buffalo66 and I'm back with another video in my Buffalo's Betting video series. This is episode 11 and I'm going to dedicate this episode to handicapping CFL football. For those of you that like to bet football and can't wait for September to roll around, if you study CFL, I think you'll find it a very fun game to wager on, a lot of soft lines. I've done pretty well in the last couple of years and I'm going to share what I know about it with you today. This video is going to run longer than usual, but I'm going to try to get everything into one video here. The CFL season runs from the last week of June to late November around American Thanksgiving. Each of the 9 teams plays an 18-game schedule over 20 weeks. There's 3 rounds of playoffs, conference semifinals, conference finals, and the Grey Cup, which is their version of the Super Bowl. There's some obvious differences between CFL and NFL. A longer and wider field of play. There's a 55-yard line instead of a 50-yard line. 20-yard end zones instead of 10-yard end zones. Goalposts are at the front of they're on the goal line instead of the back of the end zone. 12 players per side instead of 11. 3 downs to move the chains instead of 4. And a 3-minute warning instead of a 2-minute warning. No challenges in the last 3 minutes of each half. And there's a no fair catch rule in the CFL. And when the team kicks, they must give the receiving team a 5-yard cushion to make a return. Otherwise, it's called a no yards penalty. And that's a 15-yard penalty tacked on to the return. So that helps the offense a little bit. The subtle differences between the CFL and the NFL, these are 2 very important points that I'm going to go into a little depth about. The first one is the neutral zone. In the CFL, there must be a 1-yard neutral zone between the defense and the ball. The defensive players will be penalized for being in the zone before the snap. And I'm going to show you a video I queued up here. And you can see right here we have the offense about to snap the ball and the defense, and there's a 1-yard gap between the ball and the defensive line. They have to maintain that 1-yard neutral zone. The reason that is important is because it makes it so much easier for the offense to complete a short yardage play. If it's 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2 in the CFL, they'll go for it very often. Most teams have a short yardage package with their own separate quarterback to get those 1- and 2-yard plays, mostly running plays, sometimes passing plays. But it makes teams go for it more, less kicking, and again, helps the offensive flow. The second big subtle difference I'm going to talk about is motion offense. In the NFL, you're only allowed to have 1 man in motion at a time. The CFL allows multiple men in motion, and those men can start into the neutral zone as long as their part of their body remains behind the line of scrimmage before the snap. And I'm going to go back to this video and show you a few seconds of this. And as you can see, the 2 wide receivers here are already running towards the line of scrimmage. And as the ball is snapped, they'll be in full motion heading out into the field of play there. And there they go. And there's the play. So what that does is it's a huge offensive advantage. You have multiple men in motion. You have a wider field, a longer field, plus an extra receiver. There's 12 men instead of 11. So this offensive advantage makes passing the ball so much easier than in the NFL. So a lot more passing. Going on to other subtle differences. Singles and the safety. Kicking teams can score a single point, also known as the rouge point, by kicking through the opponent's end zone or tackling the return man in his own end zone. This can occur on a punt or a field goal try. For example, a team lines up for a 25-yard field goal. They miss it wide left, but the ball sails through the end zone. That's still worth 1 point to the kicking team. And then the defending team would get the ball on the 35-yard line. This will also happen on a punt. You punt it. The team picks up the ball in the end zone, and they do not make it out of the end zone. It is a single, or they can concede the single point by kneeling in the end zone. Also, many teams will concede a safety when pinned inside their own 5 to improve field position. The strategy here is to give up 2 points instead of 3 or 7 on the ensuing possession. If I'm pinned on my own 2-yard line and it's 3rd down, and it's difficult to punt with the goalposts in the way, and I have to give a return. I can't punt it out of bounds. That's a penalty. So I may just give up the 2 points, kick off from my 35-yard line, instead of giving the other team superior field position and letting them get 3 or 7. And the timekeeping and the overtime rules in the CFL are also different. Each quarter in the CFL cannot end between plays. It can end on a play. So if the clock is run down to 0 before the ball is snapped, they'll run a no time down. They'll run an extra play at the end of each quarter. An untimed down will be played. So you can't just let the clock run out. You have to run that last play each quarter. So that means there's going to be extra plays. And during the last 3 minutes of each half, the clock is stopped until the ball is ready for play. Now, with the NFL, it's the same on incomplete passes, and when a player is out of bounds, runs out of bounds, or is knocked out of bounds, the clock is stopped until the next snap. However, in the CFL, if the player is run and tackled in the field of play, they're downed in bounds, the clock is stopped until the line of scrimmage is set, and then the referee will whistle for the clock to start again. What this means is in the last 3 minutes, there's a lot of plays. There's multiple possessions for each team. So a lot going on there in the last 3 minutes. And the CFL has a 2-possession each overtime. It's kind of similar to the NCAA. They start on their opponent's 35. If they score a touchdown, they must go for 2. So during the regular season, the CFL, each team gets 2 possessions in overtime, and if it ends in a tie, it's a tie. In the playoffs, they alternate possessions until there's a winner. They each get 2 possessions, and then if it goes into extra possessions, they keep playing until there's a winner. So we're going to talk about what this means for betting CFL. All of the subtle rule differences help the offensive output. Just about every rule we've talked about, the timing allows a lot more plays than a typical NFL game. There's way more plays. There's way more passing. It's a game that's highly charged offensively. And what does this mean for bettors? Well, it means that you're looking, as a general rule, you're looking for totals that you can play to the over. And parity in the CFL usually allows both teams to score significant points. And quarterback is a position that strongly influences the line. So what this means is if you're playing, 2 teams are playing each other, and they're healthy, and they have their starting personnel in the game, I would say that any total that's in the 50 range, you're looking for an over most of the time. There are certain matchups where you would like an under. Last year in the CFL was an expansion year, and there were significant quarterback injuries, and there was a huge disparity in some of the teams. So their blowouts would occur when you're talking about a 25-point margin. Teams are going to run out the clock and just worry about the next game. But in a typical competitive CFL game, 28-28 is a highly attainable score. That's 56 points. You get a total that's 49, 50 points. It's very attractive to play the over. But when you're talking about sides, the 3 and the 7 on the point spread are not as significant in the CFL, largely because of the single point or the rouge point. I have no problem taking 7.5 plus or minus on a team I think maybe 10 points better or worse. It's so that rouge point happens a couple of times a game, on average 2 or 3 times a game. There are so many quick scores that 3.5 and 7, nobody's ever out of it. You have to be pretty much 11 points ahead to be a solid 2-score. I mean, even that's a field goal and an 8-point touchdown. So I feel point spreads are not as weighted on the 3 and the 7. So there's a lot of value because most people handicap them like they handicap NFL football. And with only 9 teams, the player news is much easier to follow. There's only 9 teams in the league. It's pretty easy to keep track of which quarterbacks are the best passers, the best runners. have the best personnel to work with. You scour those local newspapers for each of the 9 teams, and you'll get the best information. I feel that the wide receivers and the running backs, with 1 or 2 exceptions, are very interchangeable throughout the league. They pick up guys off the street every week if they need an extra receiver just for 1 game. They roll out 6 guys on the regular to catch passes, so it's very spread out. There's not one guy that's so dominant. There's very rarely 1 or 2 receivers or one or two running backs that will dominate an opposing defense. But that's it. If you like scoring and you like betting totals, I recommend CFL tremendously. It's a great way to get football action during the summer, and I think it's a real good wagering opportunity for those of you that are looking for something to do in June, July, and August. So thanks for watching the video. We'll be back with another one soon. Take care.